from the footballgameplan.com, where football makes sense. I'm Emery Hunt, the czar of the playbook. Bring you our preview of the 2014 Gator Bowl between the Georgia Bulldogs and the Nebraska Cornhuskers. Now let's take a look at some keys to victory for both teams, starting with Georgia. But first, let's look at some coaching points for both teams in this ball game. For Nebraska, defensively, they have to rob the middle of the field in the passing game. You look at the two safeties they have, Corey Cooper and Andrew Green. Georgia attacks the middle of the field a lot with the tight end, with the receivers. They try to attack the seams, the hashes. So those two safeties could have some opportunities to generate big plays for that defense. And on offense, you look at Kenny Bell and Quincy Inua. They have to find ways to get those guys involved in the passing game early. It balances the field and opens things up for Amir Abdullah in the running game. And I also believe that it's imperative that quarterback Ryan Kellogg get into a groove early in this ballgame. It's just going to help that offense out as a whole, and that also ties into the second point with getting Bell and Inua involved. I think Nebraska has a great opportunity if Kellogg can get off to that great start to keep that offense on pace. And for Georgia in this ballgame, I look at the outside linebackers and those defensive ends. Those 2-5 techniques cannot get reached in a running game. Nebraska will try to run off tackle to try to get to the outside. If those guys get reached, it could be a big day on the ground for Amir Abdullah. And on offense, I look at creativity with Arthur Lynch. I think they find ways to get him moved around the formation, sometimes line him out wide as a receiver, keep him in tight, sometimes motion him into the backfield. I think they can get creative with a guy that's a very underrated playmaker for that offense. And I would go with heavy zone on defense. You don't want to turn your back to a guy like Kellogg who can take off and run. And also you want to be in better position to stop the running game, because if you put Nebraska in a one-dimensional situation, that bodes well for that Georgia defense. The X factor for Nebraska will be their secondary. You look at Stanley Jean-Baptiste. We talked about the two safeties in Cooper and Green. If they can bottle up this passing game of Georgia and focus solely on that rushing attack, I think they have a great chance of coming away victorious. The X factor for the Bulldogs will be true freshman free safety Trey Matthews, who has played some great football all season long. But this game, he has to avoid the temptation of looking in the backfield to try to help out in the running game. Don't get beat deep. Keep everything in front of you and make a play on the ball. And I think that's how Georgia can have success defending the passing game with Nebraska. Now here are some 2014 draft prospects you want to keep an eye on in this ball game. For Nebraska, you look at the talented tailback Amir Abdullah, 5'9", 190. A junior, has great lateral agility and has put it all together this season. Very impressed with what he has done this year for the Huskers. And we spoke about the two outstanding cornerbacks, Stanley Jean-Baptiste, 6'3", 220 pounds, excellent size for a cornerback, but also has the ball skills that you want as well. And Ciante Evans, opposite of him, 5'11", 190, has very sound technique and will do a great job at the next level. And I'm a big fan of the two wide receivers, Quincy Inua and also Kenny Bell. Bell is more explosive and can also help you out as a returner. And Jeremiah Searles is another guy up front that fits the mold of those Nebraska Cornhusker offensive linemen that are strong and do a great job on both ends of offense. And for Georgia in this ball game, you look at that offensive line with Chris Burnett, the outstanding guard at 6'2", 314, and Canarius Gates, the tackle at 6'5", 327. In my opinion, Gates can play both left tackle as well as right tackle and even kick down the guard if need be. Arthur Lynch is a very athletic tight end in my opinion, 6'5", 255. You can flex him out as an H-back or even put him in the backfield as one of those swing tight ends. And nose tackle Garrison Smith, 6'3", 299, does a great job stonewalling offensive linemen at the line of scrimmage. And you look at a guy that's not on this list but definitely has pro potential, and that's Aaron Murray, the guy that's recovering from a knee injury, the quarterback, the outstanding quarterback that has broken a lot of Georgia records. Definitely a player you want to look for moving forward in the draft process. The 1951 Gator Bowl was another matchup with contrasting styles. At the time, Washington and Lee were a football powerhouse, and they ran through the 1950 season with an 8-2 record, running the new and innovative split-T offense. And Wyoming had one of the best defenses in the country, and they came into this ball game undefeated. And the Cowboys showed why they were undefeated, jumping out to a 20-0 lead over the Generals and eventually winning the ball game 34-18. In the 1973 Orange Bowl, Nebraska took on Notre Dame, and Heisman Trophy winning wingback Johnny Rodgers led the Cornhuskers in a blowout victory over Notre Dame, scoring 4 touchdowns as Nebraska opened up a 40-point lead en route to a 40-6 win, which made them the first team in college football history to win 3 straight Orange Bowls. Led by true freshman phenom running back Herschel Walker, the Georgia Bulldogs faced the Notre Dame Fighting Irish in the 1981 Sugar Bowl, and just like he'd done all season long, Walker ran through the Irish defense, winning the game's MVP as Georgia finished the 1980 season undefeated and crowned national champions. Zach Weger was one of the best offensive linemen in college football history, played at Nebraska from 1991 to 1994. He was a three-time first-team All-Big 8 performer, a two-time All-American. He won the Outland Trophy and only allowed one sack in his Cornhusker career. Before he became Georgia's offensive coordinator, Mike Bobo was an outstanding quarterback for the Georgia Bulldogs from 1993 to 1997. And here's a guy that was the MVP of the 1998 Outback Bowl and finished his Bulldog career with over 6,300 yards passing and 38 touchdowns. I actually like Nebraska in this ball game. I think this is a well-balanced football team. I think now with Kellogg at quarterback, they have a little bit something extra in the passing game, and on defense, I think they match up very well versus this Bulldogs offense. So I think Nebraska will come away the 2014 Gator Bowl champions.